Hello students, welcome to this video which is based on the fourth lesson of the Supplementary Reader. The name of the book is It So Happened and it's the fourth lesson. The name of the lesson is The Treasure Within. Students, let me tell you, it is a very important lesson because it's not like any other story, or it's not like just an imaginative lesson. It's very important because it is associated with the real life experience. And the main character of the story, the person about whom we are going to discuss, we are going to read in this story, is a very famous architect. His name is Hafiz Contractor, who is a well-known architect in India. And he is interviewed by an editor, Ms. Bella Raja, who is the editor of Spursh, which is a newsletter from the resource center, the Valley School, Bangalore. Students, before we proceed to the lesson, you have a look at your book before you read the first part. The first sentence you see, every child is a potential achiever and is different from other children in his style of learning and area of interest, which is a fact. Every child has got an inborn talent, and every child has his or her own way of learning, a common sort of learning, a common method, a common type, or a common area of interest cannot be forced on children. This is an example. This story itself is an example of that. How everyone has a hidden treasure. Some people make the best use of that treasure and succeed in life, and some people, they are unable to understand their talent, and as a result of that, do you know, children, what happens? Most people, they live a life without knowing their talents. They do nothing regarding their talents, and it remains unused. Now let me tell you, this story is an interview which took place between the editor, Miss Bella Raja, and the architect, Mr. Hafiz Contractor. And in this conversation, we'll understand, we'll get to know about what Hafiz Contractor said about himself, said about his school life, said about how he faced the classes, the teachers. And let me tell you one thing, he was not very good at studies. And very interesting thing is that a single advice of his principal changed his entire life. Students, we never know whose words can bring a change in us. Therefore, we should always listen to people who give us good advice. Let's have a look at the story. What Hafiz Contractor has to say. In your book, it is written in short, HC, and Bella Raja, BR. So what he says, you see, I used to have this terrible nightmare. Only now, over the last 4 to 5 years, it seems to have disappeared. Here Hafiz Contractor talks about a nightmare. What is nightmare, do you know? A fear, a frightening dream. Sometimes you might have experienced when you are asleep, suddenly you get so frightened and you wake up. So Hafiz says that he used to have nightmares like that. Only last 4 to 5 years, it seems that these nightmares have disappeared. Then the journalist asks him, what nightmare are you talking about, and why do you think it has disappeared now? So she asked him a question, which nightmare you are talking about, and why do you think, why do you feel that it has disappeared now? And then he replies, he says that I used to get continuous nightmares about appearing for a maths examination where I did not know anything. Now the psych must have gotten over it. I don't have to think about education, and there is absolutely no time to get nightmares. So he told the journalist that I used to get continuous nightmares that I'm appearing for my mathematics examination and I don't know anything. And then he says that now this mentality of getting attached with studies, now it has already gone from his mind. Therefore, maybe due to that, these days he don't get such nightmares. That means he was very scared of mathematics, and due to that reason, he used to get these nightmares. Tell us something about your earliest memories in school. Then the editor asks him about his earliest experiences about school. Then what he replies, in the first and second year, I was a good student. After I reached the third standard, I simply lost interest and I never studied. So he says that in the first standard and second standard, he was regarded as a very good student. He was a good student. But when he reached the third standard, he lost interest in his studies and he reveals that he never studied after that. I used to be interested in games, running around, playing jokes and pranks on others. I would copy in class during exam times. I would try to get hold of the examination paper that had been prepared and study it, as I could not remember things that had been taught to me in class. So he was interested in other activities apart from his studies. He was interested in playing games. He was interested in running around, making jokes on others, jokes and pranks on others. Jokes are just for fun. People say some funny things and everyone laugh out. And pranks are insulting someone through jokes. That is pranks. He used to copy in his class, he says, and sometimes he used to manage to get the question paper in advance, go through it and prepare it, because he could not remember the things that were taught to him in the class. However, later one sentence spoken to me by my principal changed my life. I told you, the words of his principal changed his entire life. And he says that one sentence spoken by his principal changed Hafiz contractor's entire life. When I approached my 11th standard, the principal called me and said, "Look here, son, I have been seeing you from day one. You are a good student, but you never studied. I've taken care of you till today. Now I can no longer take care of you, so you do it yourself." His principal told him that, "Son, you see, you are a good student. The only problem is that you don't study. Till now I have been taking care of you. I've done that, but further I'm not going to manage that. I won't be able to manage, so you have to take care of yourself." These were the words said by his principal. He talked to me for 5 minutes. You don't have your father. Your mother has worked so hard to bring you up and paid all your fees all these years, but you have only played games. Now you should rise to the occasion and study. The principal spoke to him for 5 minutes. He reminded him that, "See, Hafiz, you don't have your father. Your mother works so hard. She has been working so hard to bring you up to this stage. She has paid all your fees. But in return, what have you done? What did you do? You have only played games. Now this is the time when you should stand up, when you should rise to this occasion, and you have to study." I used to be a very good sportsman. I had been the senior championship for so many years, and I was also the cricket captain. He was very good at sports, very good sportsman. He was the senior champion for so many years, and he was the cricket captain as well. I used to play every game, but that year I did not step out onto the field. He was a sportsman, and sports people, they are addicted to sports. Without playing, they can't manage. They get addicted to it. Such a sportsman did not come out of his house to go to the field that very year. I would go for prayers and all I would do was eat and study. I normally used to copy and pass, but I realized that once I was in SSC, I could not do that. So he used to do his prayers, he used to eat, and the rest of the time he spent in studies. Normally he says, he accepts that he used to copy and pass, but he realized that in the board examination, senior secondary board examination, he won't be able to do that. SSC, senior secondary certificate examination, which is held in class 12. When I got a second class, 50% in my SSC, my principal said, "Son, consider yourself as having got a distinction. This is my memory of my school days." Then when the results were out, he got second class, that is 50% marks. And his principal told him that, "Son, you just think that you have got a distinction. This is my memory of my school days." Because this time he did completely by himself. He studied very hard and he got second division. So it was just like getting distinction for him. He didn't use any unfair means to achieve that result. These were his memories, he says. "I did lots of other things. See, as far as my things are concerned, I can't remember. I forget things very easily. To remember, I have to see things as a photograph. I read a book and I can remember the matter as a photograph, but not through my mind. This is how it works." As far as my things are concerned, here he is talking about the different matters other than his books, his course materials or other details. And he says that I forget things very easily. I remember it in the form of images, photographs I can remember. And apart from that, I can't remember. Just by reading books and all, I can't remember. When you were in school and you were doing badly, did the teacher pull you up and how did you feel? The next question from the editor was, when he was at school, when he could not perform well in his studies, did his teacher scold him? And at that time, how he felt? What was the reply? Let us see. "I never felt anything on being pulled up. I used to be so interested in playing, I would receive a caning every week." Caning every week. He said he never felt anything. Whenever he got pulled up means getting scoldings. Whenever he got scoldings, he said it didn't affect him. And why it didn't affect him? Because he was so much interested in playing, and it was an usual thing for him. Every week he used to get beatings with a cane stick from his teacher. When you knew that you had incurred the wrath of your teacher by not doing your homework or by behaving badly, when you knew you would get a caning, what was the state of your mind? Then the question was, when you have created an anger, extreme anger, wrath, W-R-A-T-H, wrath means extreme anger. When you knew that you have created an extreme anger in your teacher by not doing your homework at proper time or by not behaving properly, and you knew very nicely that you would be caned, you would get punishment, beatings, that time what was the state of your mind? What was the condition of your mind? What was his reply? Let us see. "State of mind, just lift up the hand and they would cane you. It would hurt badly and then I would have to forget about it because I would want to go and play." Then he said that, "Oh, you are talking about the condition of mind." Nothing, just lift your hand, they'll beat, it will pain for some time, but again he would forget that pain because he had to go out and play. "You never felt insecure or threatened?" Next question was, didn't you feel insecure? Didn't you feel unsafe? And didn't you feel threatened? Someone has threatened you, warned you. "I was just interested in playing and nothing else. I was most interested in funny pranks. One day I did not want to study, so I created a distraction. For 1 whole hour, we played chore police." So he said that he was interested in playing, nothing else apart from that. And he was very interested in funny pranks, insulting others through jokes. one day he said that he did not want to study, so he created a distraction. What is distraction? Concentration opposite is distraction. We concentrate, and when we don't concentrate, that means our mind is distracted, disturbed by something. And what he did, for one complete hour, one whole hour, they played chore police. No? Children used to play. That's a very common game among the kids. One will become thief, another one will be policeman. They'll be searching each other. So they played that. Every Saturday we were allowed to go into town and see a movie. So what I would do was have no lunch and collect money from 40-50 students and run and buy the tickets. On my way back, I would eat to my heart's content. Every Saturday they were allowed to go for a movie. And you know what he did? That particular day he did not take his lunch. He would collect 40-50 rupees money from 40-50 students, and then he would go in advance, go in advance to book the tickets. And on his way back, he would eat to the satisfaction of his heart. I used to be the leader of a gang. We would have gang fights and plan strategies. These things used to interest me more than any academics. He says that he was the leader of a gang. He used to be a leader. And at times they used to have gang fights and they used to plan strategies. Strategies here means they used to make some planning, different ways. No, they used to think of different ways to tackle the situation. And he says that he was more interested in these things compared to his academics, means his studies. Heart's content means till the time you feel completely satisfied, up to that level. Strategies here, methods of winning fights. Okay? How to win that fight, they used to plan that. Students used to book my textbooks for the following year because they were almost brand new. I probably opened them one day before exam. Now the junior students were very interested in booking his books because his books were almost brand new. He never opened his books. He just opened them before the exam, 11th hour, just a day before the exam. So his books were mostly brand new, and junior students were very interested to buy his books. Students, we have completed the first part of this lesson. For the second part, I'll make another video. I want you to go through the lesson and understand it very nicely. It is very interesting as well, so I hope you will do that. Who was some of the questions for which you have to think the answer, and you can tell me through the comments. Who was Hafiz contractor? Who came to take his interview? What type of student was Hafiz contractor during his school days? Which were the areas in which Hafiz contractor was interested? What changed his life? Which incident changed his entire life? And after that incident, how did Hafiz contractor change? These are some of the questions. Think about the answer. I will discuss that in my next video, but you also try to think about the answer. In this video, I'll conclude here. Thank you for watching this video.